Dear Dearie, November 4th, which is Monday. We're so close, though, to just making sure that I turned my frickin' phone off so that it didn't start bleeping and doing all of its sing-song crap by the time everything. Okay, you're muted. Everything's. Housemates are all out in the garage getting high. They're allowed to. They have a prescription. Yeah, I think we're set. Okay, so I said so anyway. Damn it. There was a couple of things that I wanted to mention specifically today, but something just came up on Twitter that I wanted to address. Conversation, sort of, between Omid, Talbran, and me, and Omid was saying that he was mildly terrified. Is that what he said? I have to double check now. Don't want to get my sources wrong. He said, enjoying the awful things that people are planning to build in Landmark. That would be EverQuest next Landmark. Favorite so far, Bonehenge, which does not involve skeletons. To which I said, let me just jot that down on my places to visit immediately. And that's when Omid said, that's what she said, which, of course, every conversation has to have that in there somewhere. And then Talbran said, as if he would know anything about a she. You are lucky, Mr. Man, that by the time this goes up on YouTube, that it's Tuesday, and therefore TMI Tuesday in California, because now that means that I can say this. I think that's how the rules work. I know plenty about the she, and by that I don't mean the she like what I was talking to in my tweeted reply, where I was talking about like the Banshee and the Linen She and everything else. I mean, not like the Fae folk, but like women's. I don't mean that in a lesbianic sense, because I have had sex with two women at once. See, a lot of people think that, I'm gay because I don't like women. It's not true. I'm gay because I like men. There's a big difference. I've had sex with women before. Two at once, in fact. Which some of my straight friends are like, you son of a bitch. I'm like, well, maybe if you'd just be gay, you'd have women fawning all over you and trying to convert you, and then you could have, multiples. I'm not saying that that's why. I'm just saying that there are a lot of what are termed as fag hags out there. But don't go telling them you're gay when you're not, because that'll, Anyway, so, yes, I know. I know a thing or two about women, and I don't just mean shopping, because I hate shopping. We've covered that before. But that's, okay, we'll chop off that. Wait, no, let me rephrase that. We will end that portion of the discussion, and we'll move on. Moving on. The other thing that I wanted to talk about today, or this evening, well, for today's vlog, is, for some reason it came to mind earlier, that I was having a discussion with someone months ago, and it might well have been about EverQuest Next or Elder Scrolls Online or something. It was a game that I hadn't played a whole lot of, that I was just a little bit familiar with the lore, but not really. And we were talking about, and the guy was like, I should just write up a complete compendium on, how to do this, what all this stuff means. What's a primer for the brand new person who's just, coming into this thing. And I said, you have to beware in that case, or in cases like that, of something called tribal knowledge. And this was something I learned about when I was working at Electronic Arts, and it happens a lot when you're writing documentation for new hires. And tribal knowledge is things that are such common knowledge that you just don't think about it, because everybody knows it. And it doesn't occur to you to write it down. You finish this incredibly detailed document, and then, a new hire shows up and you give it to them, and then they come to you with questions that are not addressed in your documentation, because everybody knows that. I didn't think to put it in there because everybody knows it. That is tribal knowledge. And it can be very, very vexing because, I mean, yes, you want your documentation to be thorough and you want it to have a level of granularity, but you don't want it to be so simplified that, everything that it's just boring for anyone who is not a layperson to read. That anybody who has any level of knowledge already would be bored to death and just start skimming and miss something important. One of the best examples of that is a friend of mine named Joey that I got hired on at Electronic Arts back when I was still on Spore. He was assigned to the Sims team, and I believe Sims 2 was out. They were still working on Sims 3. I mean, they were just starting development on Sims 3, so Sims 2, I think, was what they were working on at the time. I think. Sims Pets wasn't quite out yet. I think. I have pancake syrup on the side of my finger, so. Why do I have pancake syrup on my fingers at 11 o'clock at night, you might ask? Well, I wanted something hot and sweet for dinner. And certain people were not available. So, instead, I went and had pancakes at Denny's. So, I've still got pancake syrup between my fingers. Not that I was eating with my hands. I was using utensils, like a grown person. But anyway, so Joey gets assigned to the Sims team, and he's sitting in the cubicle right next to the QA lead. And he's like, "Hey, Derek, I think I found a crash." Now, bear in mind, they were about to release this game. They were about to just wrap it up and send it off to, first party, to like, Sony and everybody else, to say, okay, here's the stuff we're going to release on, they were going to send it to Microsoft and everybody and say, test it on your stuff and make sure that it works. I mean, we'd already had our compliance guys look at it, and we're getting ready to send it off to third party for testing there. And Derek's like, "No, you didn't." He said, "Yeah, I think I did, because it just crashed." And he's like, No, you didn't. Look, this is like your second day on the job, actually on the floor. You did not just find a crash. He's like, yeah, I did. So Derek comes over there. He's like, "What did you do?" Well, he says, "Show me exactly what you did." And he starts up a brand new game. Joey fires up a game, and he gets everything set up, and he clicks on a button that says free will. And the whole thing just, boom, just self-destructs right in front of him. And he's like, "Oh my God, what the hell? Do that again." And so then he had somebody else reproduce it, and somebody else reproduce it. And every single person on that floor could reproduce it instantaneously, because no one had used the free will button, because everybody on that team was a Sims fan. Everybody knew how to play The Sims. There was no reason, well, in their minds, to use free will, because they all knew exactly what they were doing. And it didn't occur to them to test out the free will button, because we know how to make our Sims do what we want them to do. And so all of a sudden, all the brakes go on. And everybody's like, "Oh crap, we gotta fix this." But it took somebody who had no experience with The Sims, none whatsoever, just handed the game and said, "Here, just play with it, because we're almost done, and there's no way that we're gonna just go. Just play around with it," and boom, and he breaks it almost immediately. This is how, tribal knowledge gets you into trouble. And because it took somebody who knew nothing about it to come in and ask one question that nobody thinks of, because everything is common knowledge to everybody else, and so they don't think to do it, or they don't think to communicate it. And that's kind of the same thing. That's kind of not. It's sort of fringe between those two, because one is you've got people who are so familiar with the thing that the simple things that new users would do, they didn't do. Since then, the test cases and everything have been radically improved and refined, and those things like free will are tested very, very thoroughly. But tribal knowledge is similar, but a little bit different, in that it mainly has to do with, you've got this huge group of people that know everything already, and so new people who are coming into the group, when people start teaching them what they need to know, it's those simple questions that, well, everybody knows that. Well, obviously not, or this person wouldn't have asked it. That is tribal knowledge. You need to be very, very careful with that kind of thing whenever you're making any kind of a game at all. Very dangerous. And that's pretty much all I had. And I've since moved my thing, and we're at roughly 10.5 minutes. Awesome! Which is great, because that'll take about 15 years to render and upload to YouTube and process and publish. Oh. All right, so I'm going to let you guys go, and I'm going to go back to whatever I was doing. Maybe, I think I was watching episodes of Arrow. So I stopped watching Arrow so I could start watching Tron Uprising. Arrow, interesting kind of thing, kind of got that Robin Hood feel to it. A little bit, well, a lottle bit Batman, in that you've got this, this kind of, wayward son, billionaire, playboy kind of dude who, is secretly some vigilante kind of guy, and he's got, all of this incredible amounts of money at his disposal to be able to, did I say disposable? At his disposal to make, all the various arrow weapons and whatnot that I mean, in a lot of ways, it's seriously Batman. In a lot of ways, it's seriously Hawkeye. In a lot of ways, it's, incredibly Green Arrow. But one of the things that I really, really like about it, a lot, is the fact that he's kind of an anti-hero in a way, in that one of the problems that people like Batman and whatnot and everything that they have is that they won't kill unless they absolutely have to. In a lot of cases, even then, they won't. This guy, no problem. He will absolutely kill you. Absolutely kill you if he feels that it's necessary. The law be damned. Because, well, not damned, really, but I mean, I don't know. It's just, he kills very readily when he has to, and there really isn't any hesitation for him, which I kind of like. It gives him a much darker edge. It makes him a little bit harder. Well, I won't say it makes it harder. Okay, this whole here's just going to be a 10-minute video. That idea's out the window. So it doesn't. In a way, it makes him harder to relate to. And in a way it doesn't. I think it makes him harder to relate to as a hero, because he does have this, this seriously anti-hero quality to him. So he's, you almost feel kind of, oh geez, should I be rooting for this guy as much as I am? Because that was flat out murder. I mean, he could have done that differently in a way that didn't involve killing the guy. He could have somehow, maybe shot the guy in the leg or the Achilles tendon, or in the, nailed him to a wall or something and tied him up and let the authorities find him. But no, he shot him in the face. Okay, that dude is dead. I mean, and it makes it... It gives a really interesting twist. I mean, I like the show. There are some elements about the show that I really absolutely detest. Chief among those is the fact that we have seen henchmen who cannot aim worth a damn before. The henchmen with the submachine guns, with the fully automatic weapons that are trying to shoot him, these guys make stormtroopers look like champion snipers, because 8 guys with machine guns aiming at this one dude, and all they can hit is the stair rail and walls around him. It gets on my nerves. Just, aside from that, I mean, that is my biggest gripe about the show, really. There are other little niggling elements that kind of bother me, but that is the biggest one by far. That is just one of the other Batman elements, that one of the little niggling moments is that if you look at the 60s Batman, with I almost said Bruce Wayne, Well, of course it's got Bruce Wayne. No, with Adam West. Um, the bizarre frequency with which he has exactly what he needs. Oh, thank goodness I remembered to pack my bat shark repellent. What? Why did you have Alfred bring you 6 cups of buttermilk today, of all days? And, you chug 6 cups of buttermilk, and that protects your stomach from the poison that the penguin put into the whatever stuff. Anyway, 15 minutes, 16 minutes almost now. All right, fine. I'll stop talking about Arrow, but it is kind of cool. It's on Netflix. Check it out. I'm just saying. Yeah, and I like his haircut. That's another thing. That's probably what I'm going to do. Probably going to get a haircut very much like his. Nice and short. Doesn't get unruly and stuff. That's why I'm always wearing a hat now, because aliens. Right, so I'm going to let you guys go, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow, which will also kind of be TMI Tuesday. Sort of. Right. Anyway, off you go. Be careless.